what is a reverse drop set? So first we'll go into the concept, then we'll go into like kind of the like details of how to make it effective. And then at the end, I'll touch on kind of like the underlying principles of why we might want to incorporate this. So a reverse drop set is just a training intensifier. So if you've done hypertrophy training or resistance training for any period of time, you've likely, potentially, maybe, I don't want to make any assumptions, tried a drop set where you perform a set close to failure and then reduce the load to continue with more reps. That's a drop set. A reverse drop set, you're doing the exact opposite. So you'll do a regular full range of motion set close to failure, then you're actually going to increase the load. And you may be wondering right now, like, whoa, how is this going to work? I'm going to be tired and then make it heavier. And how am I even going to be able to do this? So yes, when we increase the load, it is going to be harder, but we're going to be working this reverse drop set only as a performed partial rep. So we're going to work in the lengthened portion of the movement where you can still manage to get a couple more reps. It won't be a full range of motion. So to ensure that you feel confident with executing this, let's go over the details of how to do it, how partial those reps could be, how close to failure you should go, and other specifics. And then again, I'll touch on why it's effective. So first things first, in the first set, we can call it kind of like a buy-in set or a regular set. So for example, let's say, when we program this out for you, we may have a target RER of 2. So we have 2 reps in reserve. This means that for our buy-in set, we're gonna take that set to a 2 RER and the partials will always be taken to failure. So again, the buy-in set or the full range of motion set will have a target RER, but the partials will be just involuntary, increase the weight enough that you can only perform partial reps because that's all that you can literally manage. Now, partial reps are kind of vague and not super objective because it's not hey, you start here, you end here, like a full range of motion rep would be. We want the partial reps to start in the first half of the movement, regardless of what exercise this is. Your set will be over when you can no longer move the weight through about like a third approximately of the range of motion. Don't worry if it's not perfect. It isn't about being precise here. It's about getting approximately 1/3 of the movement. So you may need to kind of practice this a little bit, but again, we have RER for the buy-in set. Take the partials about a third of the distance to failure and just focus on progressing as a whole. So as far as progressions go, we want to have that first buy-in set or the full range of motion set at the specific RER, and then we'll move to those partials at failure. Each week when we're going through this, you're going to try and progress the full range of motion set first. However, you're going to get to a point where you hit a wall with that. And that's where these partials can be really helpful. We try to add more partials. The goal is always, progress on something each session. And it's not always going to be possible, but try to. And these partials allow us to sometimes make a little bit progress where we couldn't otherwise. However, I do really want to make sure that when you are doing these partials, that doesn't mean that we get sloppy. We still want to maintain control and not use added momentum for these movements. Now, why do these? Again, challenging the muscles at longer lengths, aka the lengthened position, is generally more hypertrophic. However, some exercises and equipment can't make an exercise hardest in the lengthened position. And using reverse drop sets can help us execute that. They can help make the exercise harder in the lengthened position, providing a more effective hypertrophic stimulus. So to sum it all up here, after fatiguing in the shortened position, for example, like the bottom of a chest supported lat pull down, you can still achieve high quality tension in that lengthened position by using a reverse drop set. So it pretty much just allows us to work further into fatigue ensuring that we are progressing in ways that we maybe potentially couldn't using standard sets. So let's talk about an example of kind of how we want to do this. So for example, let's talk about seated hamstring curls. Obviously do, a warm up, especially if this is your first exercise. We want to do a couple of warm up sets. Then we do our buy-in or our full range of motion initial set here. We want to, choose again a weight that is going to let us get the target RER. So for example, in this case, let's talk about doing 2 sets of 10 to 12 reps at a 3-0-1-0 tempo with 2 reps in reserve. So pick your weight, do those normal 10 reps, again, about to a 2 RER, and remembering that RER is not precise. We just want to get in the ballpark and use it to guide intensity. So we'll do that first normal set. Then to do our reverse drop set, we are going to increase the weight by about 10 to 20%. It's going to depend on your strength level, but about that range will get us a really good starting point, and then you can, refine from there. We're gonna then go immediately into those partial reps. With this heavier weight, we're gonna do those partial reps again about, 1/3 of the normal range of motion so that we can target the lengthened portion of the seated hamstring curls. That means that, again, we're starting the rep and only moving it through the initial part of that curl. So for example, let's say we're here, we're going to curl about 1/3 of the way down, then go back up. Not full range of motion where our legs are coming all the way down. Do these until you reach failure, where you can no longer move the weight even partially with, again, control and not using momentum. If you could do another rep, but it would require form to get compromised or control to be, off the table or having to use momentum, that doesn't count. Technical failure, aka where we are reaching failure with good form. Then we will do our normal rest and recovery after this. So there's no specific rest in between. The rest is after doing the buy-in or full range of motion set and then the partial reps. So hopefully you learned a lot as far as, what reverse drop sets are. You feel comfortable and confident with them, but that is everything I've got for you.